With a rapidly growing population, food security remains a challenge. But could technology be the game changer Nigeria desperately needs? Just like you have the ice water challenge you see on social media, there's another challenge called the IUT challenge, which is focused on bringing game-changing innovations to Nigeria's agricultural sector. Young Nigerian agri-tech startups showcased groundbreaking ideas, AI-driven soil analysis tools helping farmers maximize output, smart irrigation systems reducing water wastage and increasing efficiency, agri-fintech solutions bridging the gap between farmers and financial services.
And thanks to Heifer International's recently concluded IUT 2025 challenge, we're seeing young innovators tackling these issues head-on with cutting-edge solutions. How far can technology go in solving Nigeria's agricultural challenges? Let's get into it. Join us this morning for the discussion as Country Director for Heifer International, non-governmental organization, is Dr. Lekan Tobe. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Tobe. You're welcome to Breakfast.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Now, let's start with what are the biggest challenges facing the Nigerian agricultural sector? For a country that is blessed with enormous arable land, we still find ourselves importing food and still under the risk of food insecurity. How can technology mitigate these problems, and what are the biggest problems as we speak?
Well, it depends on from which angle you're looking at it. The biggest problem may be access to finance or access to market or increasing post-harvest loss, that happens every annually. But I would say that the underlying factor to all of those is access to technology, relevant technology that helps to drive efficiency and scale in the production system, which is lacking in Nigeria mostly. And that is why you see a lot of drudgery on the farm, and a lot of inefficiencies also happening, especially because Nigeria depends on largely smallholder farmers. More than 80% of those responsible for producing the food that we consume in Nigeria are smallholders with less than 2 hectares. And they're still using hoe and cutlasses, which makes agriculture unattractive, especially to the youth. And that's exactly what we're addressing with Agriculture Youth and Technology Program of at Heifer, which is called acronym IUT. And that happens annually for us, to attract youth into agriculture and through agribusinesses, through agri-tech provision of agri-tech solutions to smallholder farmers and even in production areas. But essentially, we want to encourage youth. We want to point them to the opportunities that are bound in agriculture, especially as you alluded to, where we have several million hectares of arable land, but we're only using about 50% presently. And there's still so much opportunities with regards to import or importation of food into the country, which we can actually reduce to the barest minimum to achieve food sufficiency in the country.
All right. You've talked about a number of these challenges that we're facing and how you're looking to encourage more youths to be interested in agriculture. Let's talk about the impact of climate change. The world is looking for their global best practices that are being employed to mitigate the harshness caused by climate change. And we see it play out during the rainy season. We see the intense floods. How would you say that climate change has impacted the agricultural sector, and how well is Nigeria responding to the challenges that come with climate change in the agricultural sector?
Well, Nigeria is responding in the best way possible that it can, but there's so much more that can be done to mitigate the effect of the impact of or the impact of climate change. And you will notice that those effects are increasing by the day, and they manifest as increasing flooding and droughts, annual droughts that happens, which is pushing farmers out of their production systems into uncharted lands. It's displacing farmers, and there's so much that can be done around that. And some of those are already being done, and we also at Heifer are participating in ensuring that farmers become more resilient to climate change. Now, the financing of climate change solutions is where we are lagging behind in the country, and we can do so much more around that across, amongst our stakeholders, especially the government. And I can boldly say that the government is doing its best, but the best can also be improved upon by partnering with the likes of NGOs that are looking at addressing that, and also funders across the globe that are interested in reducing the effect of climate change, because climate change affects every part of the food system, whether it is harvest or post-harvest problems, or it's affecting the resources that are used in production, such as water or the soil itself. And that is why you see that the distribution of rainfall is not consistent with what we know. The variability is increasing by the day. It's becoming very unpredictable. The weather pattern is becoming unpredictable, but there are things that we can do. For example, we can increase irrigation infrastructure across the country to ensure that farmers can produce year-round, and of course, for supplementary irrigation too, even in the wet season, especially where there are prolonged droughts or flooding. But beyond that are also where things like insurance comes in, and that is something that is not taken seriously in the country, especially agricultural insurance. Farmers do not take it seriously. I would say that only about 2% or 3% of smallholder farmers have adopted the use of insurance to protect themselves against the effect of climate change, and we can do so much more there. At Heifer, we have what we are supporting farmers with, which is called Pay at Harvest Area Yield Index Insurance, so that farmers can pay their premium at the beginning of the season, and then at harvest they pay back through their crops or their yields. And we also have programs such as smallholder irrigation systems that we're promoting, and we also know that others are also promoting it. Things like solar-powered irrigation, things like solar dryers, things like everything that we are using now, especially in response to the changing realities on the ground that we have, whether it is in politics or in the economics of countries. There are so much that are changing, that are uncertain, that we can also find solution around. We can ideate, we can find solution, and we can actually intervene, based on the context.
Well, I like the fact that you talked about agricultural, insurance. It's a word that many still find strange, especially when it comes to farming. But I'd like us to look at the advancements technology has indeed brought, especially to revolutionizing agriculture. How would you say technology has impacted on the agricultural, businesses, the processes? And with the competition you put together, how is this also helping Nigerians to start to embrace the use of technology?
Well, first, technology is a strong factor for agricultural development. As you know, that industrialization takes advantage of technology to get to where you want to be, especially that has happened in industrialized countries, and we can take advantage of that too. But technology that we're talking about has to be context specific. It has to be either borrowed and adapted to our own environment, or developed from scratch here in the country. And when you're talking about technology, it cuts across the value chain, from the upstream to the downstream, across all nodes. Every actor in the value chain, agricultural value chain, need to take advantage of technology because it brings about efficiency and removes drudgery on the farm, and also increase the scale and impact that can be obtained, in the different agricultural enterprises. And we need to promote that among smallholder farmers. And that's exactly what some of us are doing, ensuring that smallholder farmers move away from the use of hoes and cutlasses, as it were, especially the aging farmer population that we have now. And if we're going to truly attract the youth into agriculture, then we need to point them to the need to leverage technology, and that is what many of them are developing now, because they are being supported to find opportunities in the agricultural landscape that they can develop and participate. For example, you talk about drone technology. Drone technology can be used in addressing issues of pest and disease, soil stress, and water stress, and the like. It can be used in precision agriculture, as it were. And then you have technologies presently that can help detect diseases on the farm before they spread. Those are the things that we want more of in the country. Mechanization is another area. You know that in Nigeria, our tractor penetration is about the lowest in Africa, and we need to do something about those. And some of us are already doing something about that, in partnership with youth-owned agricultural companies. And there's so much more that can be done, but technology should be truly integrated. It should be at the center of promoting agricultural development in Nigeria.
Now let's talk about there's an issue that borders me, and it must be really painful for farmers to plant and then have the patience to wait. And after planting season, they harvest, but it's reported that farmers in Nigeria record up to 40% post-harvest waste. How serious is this problem, and how can technology be deployed to take care of this post-harvest losses?
Post-harvest loss in agriculture is a serious problem. You just touched on part of it, which is we record across all commodities, across all value chains, we record an approximate of 40-45% loss every year. That is outside of what is lost even before harvest, during production. And there's so much that can be done, but it is capital intensive also, because it requires a lot of infrastructure across the country, especially cold chain logistics that are required, because these are especially what is mostly affected are the perishable crops. For example, tomato and cucumber and all of those other fruits, and vegetables that we produce in this country, which we call seasonal. We can actually produce them and store them and smoothing their supply across different seasons if we have the right infrastructure in place. Cold storage and cold transport system, cold chain transport system, and so many other things that we can do. But essentially, we need to build up on our processing capability. We are lagging behind seriously around that. And until we get that right. For example, if you produce so much tomato, and you're running to glut, if you have a processing capability, across the country, that can be taken care of, so that we will not need to be importing concentrates that are some of which are adulterated, into the country and causing serious health problem to our citizens in the country, but we need to prioritize what we want to do. Historically, we have been focused more on production, but we also see that post-harvest loss is withering away all of our efforts at the upstream, focusing on production, providing inputs and so on and so forth.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for sharing with us the many challenges that span across the different value chain when it comes to post-harvest waste. But let's talk about the Ayute challenge. You know, how long has it been on for? How long is it on for? How do you get people to be a part of it? And you know, what really is the Ayute Challenge? How can people be a part of it?
Yeah, Ayute Challenge, that is an initiative of Heifer, which is Agriculture, Youth and Technology. And it started about 4 years ago. There are two different channels of that. One is Africa-wide, which is targeted at growth stage agri-technology companies. And that the award prize is much more bigger than what we have in countries. In Nigeria, we started about 4 years ago, and we just had the grand finale for this year yesterday in Abuja here. And the idea behind it is to attract youth to the opportunities that are bound in agriculture, leveraging technology. That is what we're pointing to youth across the board, not necessarily those who read agriculture or something, but that they may see that they can take hold of that sector and grow it in a way that contributes to the GDP of Nigeria much more than it is now, is doing now. And what we hope to do is to continue to mentor and coach this youth, you know, who have generated different innovative ideas that support farmers in their production activities. And we're seeing success, you know, and each year the number of applications for ideation at the ideation stage or for innovative ideas have increased. We recorded more than 1,000 applications this year, unlike in the past that we have less than 500. And that tells you that youth are becoming more aware. And that's exactly what we want to create. We want to create awareness about the opportunities that are bound, and that agriculture is a place to go, similar to what has been done in the health sector and in the education sector, leveraging innovative technologies. We want to ensure that that is also done in agriculture. It's been done successfully in the financial sector. We want to ensure that it is done also successfully for agriculture, where you have youths taking charge of different enterprises that move the needle in agriculture.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We look forward to seeing more initiatives that will be introduced and to see more ways in which we can ensure young people, through the means of technology, are bringing solutions to the agricultural problems facing us in our country. Thank you for your time with us.